The following episode is brought to you by Patreon supporters like Denise Kaminsky. Denise has joined the Dark Elite Siren Aside or the USG for a day. Her massive contribution to the Support is Crucial campaign has given her the ability to bring a character into this story. If you would like to join her at that level, keep in mind there's only 10 spots. Now 9, because she's already claimed one. We also want to give it out to Kelly Suzuki for joining us also at an amazing level. And all of our other Patreon supporters like Amber Blake, Michael Scher, Rose Lorenzo, Johan Goings, Scott Fompno, Celine DeSantis, Waylon McKenzie, and everyone else at the dollar level below. If you would like your name said, make sure that you donate at the 5 or above, and we'll be adding you to these ICE episode shoutouts. And now, he's gonna talk in a lot not like this voice. Enjoy.
All right, everybody, this is ICE episode number 6. I'm Johnny Stitches. Thank you, Scarred Ones, for joining us yet again for an amazing behind-the-scenes look at what we're doing. This ICE episode is going to be chock full of stuff, so make sure you stick around for all of it. On the agenda today, we're going to be going over some scheduling. We're going to be giving some much-needed updates to our downloads for you guys. And we're also going to be talking about some really great friends that are supporting us in many different ways. If this is your first ICE episode, there shouldn't be any spoilers in this episode. I don't have anything written down as far as storyline. So if this is the first time you've stumbled across Sirenicide in your feed, an ICE episode is basically an intensive care episode. And it is a behind-the-scene look. It's an interview. As you can tell by my stutters and my slurs, this is not edited. We don't try to go through and do a bunch of jump edits or anything like that and make it all polished. It's just a very raw commentary-style podcast that gives you news, updates, and everything. So if you're just here for the story and all you care about is Matthew Finnis and Doc and all of those guys and the USG and the Dark Elites and all that, and you don't feel like listening to my voice or hearing me talk, feel free to skip or go to the next podcast, or actually the next new one won't be for about another week. So you might have to go back. We had an amazing episode released this week, so you can go back and listen to season 3, episode 5, On My Mark. All right, so let's go and get started. So right now, if you're in our Patreon group, this is streaming live. Now, our Patreon group is a very select secret group, so you have to donate at least at the dollar level, and then you'll get the secret. You'll get to be invited to the secret. And I'm not talking about that book that swept the nation. I'm talking about just being with us, the Sirenicide secret. And that is at patreon.com/Sirenicide, and you can go there and pledge your support and become a contributor to what we're building and what we're doing here. And that will give you access to being able to see my ugly mug record this episode like 4 people are doing right now. Hi, 4 people. Anyway, so again, that's Patreon. Just type in Sirenicide or go to patreon.com/Sirenicide. There's links on our website and all that good stuff too. All right. So first on the agenda today is going to be scheduling. So we have a mid-season finale coming up, and the official date is now June 19th. It's a Tuesday. Normal release, but it's going to be season 3, episode 8, and that is going to be our mid-season finale, and it's got some really cool stuff, so you're not going to want to miss it. We're going to return with season 3, episode 9 on September 11th. So don't forget September 11th. That is a joke. That should not be a joke. However, you got to keep in mind we're going to still have mini episodes 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. Those episodes are all going to air. So you're going to have 5 mini episodes during the off period between the mid-season finale and the mid-season premiere. So we're giving ourselves a little break, but we're definitely not going to leave the feed vacant. Again, if you're new to this, Sirenicide tries to pump content out every other week regardless. So don't forget. There might be a little conclusion to Little Wolf Moon, which was an amazing mini episode. Again, without spoiling anything, it had the wonderful Addison Peacock and Atticus Jackson, and they voiced a brother and sister combo that might have to do with some wolves and such. So if you haven't heard that episode yet, I think that's mini episode 17. That is live. You can go listen to it, and there might be a sequel in the mix during the mid-season of this break. Moving forward, the next thing on our list is long overdue, and I mean long overdue. In March, we hit 250,000 downloads. That's right, 250,000 downloads. Now, keep in mind, we just now around that time have been a podcast for only a year and a half. So we're very excited, very ahead of schedule of what we had planned when we originally, roughly thought, well, hey man, if we're about a year into this and a few hundred people have listened to it, that's going to be really cool. So we've passed that milestone, not mild, not like picante sauce. That's not tomato paste, but mile, like a mile marker or a kilometer marker, depending, I guess, on where you are. And we just want to say thank you for that. This is, again, more than we could have ever planned. So we appreciate all of you guys. And because of that, we went ahead and decided to release our live The Harvest of 1928 is live on our YouTube right now. And after I get through wrapping this show up and putting the little bow on it to send out to you guys tonight, I'll be sharing links on all of our social media platforms and moving it over to the live video tab on our Siren Aside Facebook. So you should be able to go to YouTube right now. Right now, you could stop and go to that and watch that awesome live performance we did back on March 3rd, or you can continue listening to my voice. Your choice. But that's going to be for free. Now, if you were a Patreon subscriber at any level, that video has been available to you for a while. And we appreciate the few guys that have been able to take advantage of that and check it out before the rest of the world got it. All right, moving right along, let's talk about the Scary Dad podcast. So the Scary Dad podcast is based out of Houston, and we met these guys actually at the live show. They ran our merch booth, and I think we might have already given them a shout out on another ICE episode, but who cares? Here's another one. Scott and Billy of the Scary Dad podcast have been amazing, but they were actually in our studio a few weeks back and came down and interviewed us in the Sirena house, and that episode is airing this Monday. So May 14th, Sirenicide, which is our pieces of Sirenicide, myself, my wonderful bride, Amy, and then, of course, Joey Trauma, the voice of Matthew Finnis, or Joe Moore, depending on how you follow him, I guess, on Facebooks and social medias. We all got multiple names in this. We were very fortunate to have Billy and Scott in the studio, and we talked about horror movies, metal bands, the podcast, and a lot of really fun stuff. So if you have not got a chance to check out their show, it is really cool. They go through and they do like these segments on analyzing old horror movies and topics, and they go into like this day in history and this day currently, and it's just a really cool format the way they lay it out. And I'm a fan of the show now. I've been back binging their episodes since I found out about it. And if you want to get more Scary Dad, you can go to facebook.com/ScaryDad1. That's the number 1. So ScaryDad1, or you can just go to ScaryDad.com and click on the links below. That also being said, write this down on your calendar. We're going to have a panel at the next Scary Dad show. So Scary Dad does kind of like a con, and it's I got it written down over here. The Scary Dad Haunted Halloween Show Part 2. So they did one last year, and even with the hurricane, it was still a really successful show. They had a lot of great horror creators and stuff like that come out, and we're fortunate to be a part of it this year. It's going to be happening at the Crown Plaza. And again, you can click the Scary Dad, go to the Scary Dad Facebook, Scary Dad website, and you can find out all the details about the date. I think it's from 10 in the morning to 4 that afternoon, and it's on the Crown Plaza, North Houston. So it's definitely, if you're in the immediate region, worth coming out to. It seems like it's going to be a really good time, and we'll be there talking about our show, handing out artwork and doing all sorts of things. And I don't know how the panel is going to go, but we're really excited to talk about Sirenicide with you guys in a live setting. So once again, I want to give a great shout out to Scary Dad for letting us be on their show and for inviting us out to their amazing Halloween extravaganza part 2, the sequel. For more on that, again, you'll be able to, I'm going to have all the links in the show notes for all of this stuff when I put this together. Moving right along, since we're talking about friends, let's talk about more of them. So, if you are new to Sirenicide, and we're not going to spoil anything, there's just a character named Doc. I'm not going to tell you what Doc's about, but Doc's a pretty amazing dude. And he is voiced by the wonderful John Grills of Creepy Podcast, or how I first found out about him, Small Town Horror. So if you go to creepypod.com, that's creepy, and the word pod, P-O-D.com, you can find all about his show, how to support it, how to join his YouTube. I think he just surpassed 1,000 subscribers, so that's really cool. And he also, again, he makes the Small Town Horror Podcast, which is a really cool show, and it's just Small Town Horror Podcast spelled out.com. If you haven't binged that, there's 3 seasons of it out there, and it's really, really cool show. So definitely check that out too. And that's John Grills. So I thought I'd give him a proper shout out. He's done us a lot of justice and a lot of love, and brought some really cool, just stigma to the character Doc for our series. Up next is, of course, Miss K.D. Burr of Southern Grimoire. We have brought her up before, but if you have not had a chance to check out Southern Grimoire, that's Southern and then Grimoire, Grimoire. And so southerngrimoire.buzzsprout, BUZZSPROUT.com, and that'll take you right to her show. And she's done a special Sirenicide show before where she did some, I'm not going to spoil it, but let's just say on-topic surgical madness. But what's really creepy is how much of it's in context, because her story is very rooted in real lore, not just make-believe like we do. So check out KD, and she voices the character Nancy Curette in our show, who has become more of a supporting character. More of upgraded from just a supporting character to part of our main cast moving into this season, and she does such a good job. She's got such an amazing voice. So thank you, Miss Katie Burr, for being a part of our show. Duncan McPherson of A Game of Microphones podcast. Duncan has been doing a great job this season voicing another character for us, Malik Husto. Again, not spoiling what he is or what he's about. I just want you to go check out his new page. He's got a facebook.com/Game of Microphones podcast. And that is a Game of Thrones podcast. And he does a lot of really cool comparing the book to the TV show, and then doing an amazing rewatch. He's rewatching the whole seasons, and of course moving forward as we get ready for the final season of Game of Thrones. A lot of really good spoiler stuff in there, and it's really cool because it's a spoiler cast. So it's really written for someone who's seen all of Game of Thrones and doesn't have to worry about someone walking on eggshells as they bring it up. And I'm going to be a guest on that show coming up about a certain wedding episode. Maybe purple, maybe red. Maybe you'll find out if you listen. So I'm going to be very happy to be joining a panel discussing a very, very iconic episode of Game of Thrones, the TV show, and how I guess it compares to the book and stuff like that. So I'm excited to be with Malik Husto talking about Game of Thrones. So yeah, give Duncan some love, and please go to facebook.com/Game of Microphones podcast and give that page a like and follow it. He's building up right now to release these episodes, so the feeds, he hasn't released the new RSS feed, but just click on that page, like it, and the details are going to be put there as soon as it's all available for you to listen and download. And moving right along to Dan Fehb of one of my favorite podcasts, Based on a True Story. If you go to basedonatruestorypodcast.com and check them out, Dan does an amazing job of all analyzing movies versus their, that tagline we always see, based on a true story, and then the movie starts. He goes and he's got an extensive catalog, I just listened to the episode about Jackie with Jackie Kennedy, so that was really cool. He's got King Arthur. It's just really awesome. And then on like April Fool's Day and stuff like that, he'll treat the movie like Lord of the Rings versus the book and things like that. But he's got such real stuff like From Hell, The Other Bowling Girl, Braveheart. I mean, and his Patreon's so cool. If you join his Patreon, he makes suggestions. He moves you up in line. Like if you got a movie that you'd like to hear him analyze and go into. It's just one of my favorite podcasts. I really enjoy it. And he was Mitch Placker, a reporter in our season 3 premiere. So he did just a little cameo there. I really like his voice and what he does. So please check out basedonatruestorypodcast.com and follow him on all of his social medias. And then one last shameless plug. You can go to, if you're not a Patreon and you don't want to support us on Patreon, and that's fine. You know, you want to keep enjoying the free podcast and you want some free commentary, go to facebook.com/groups/Sirenicide. And if you have not joined the more than 1,400 people there that are talking about the show, getting some exclusive spoiler threads, that way when an episode comes out and you want to talk about it amongst the fans and the creators and the voice actors, it's basically our home on Facebook for in-depth conversation as far as Sirenicide, and you get to see happenings above and beyond. Now, again, if that group's not giving you enough of your fix, we do have, again, a private Patreon group. You can be a part of both of them. Being a part of both of them. Just be a part of both of them. Why not? So, again, that is the Scarred Ones, a Sirenicide support group, and that is at facebook.com/groups/Sirenicide. All right. And the last thing, as far as what's going to be going on, is you want to keep an eye on those groups, because we are going to be, by the next ICE episode, we're going to be releasing our next contest. And it's probably going to be I was thinking about calling it something really cheesy, like a Midsummer's Break podcast contest or something cheesy like that. We'll come up with something a little more creative. But basically, between our mid-season finale, episode 8, and our mid-season premiere of season 3, episode 9, we're going to be holding a contest on the podcast, and we're going to have some cool prizes and maybe some Easter egg hunts and stuff like that for you to get those prizes. We're going to package that all together and be releasing that to you over the next month, getting ready for our June 19th mid-season finale. So keep an eye out for that. The No Sleep Book Club is ran by Miss Lena Klein. I think her real name's Jessica McAvoy or some other. You might know her. I'm not sure. But Jessica does an amazing job with this book club. Myself, the gentleman I mentioned earlier, Billy, is in it. We're both writers. So if you like what I've been writing for the Sirenicide podcast, and you'd like to see some stories outside of that, I've written a few stories, and those links are in that group. Plus, they do an amazing job. Right now, we're reading Love, Death, and Other Inconveniences, and it's a collection of short stories by Tobias Wade, and it's just a really fun group to be in. I mean, there's nothing cooler than, reading a book and being able to talk with it with a couple hundred people instead of just in a circle of like 5 people. And you got all of these aspiring writers in there, and people that have never written before taking their first steps and writing short stories, and the group's really constructive on how to get better without being, assholes about it. So that's nice. And Jessica and Desdemona, both of those 2 wonderful ladies, do an amazing job of keeping that group fun and just a really cool book club. So if you want to check that out, that is the No Sleep Podcast Book Club. And if you just go to facebook.com and type in the No Sleep Book Club, it should pop up. It's got this, you can't see it, but it's in the live stream. I got the shirt on right now. So a couple people get to see it. But yeah, so just type the No Sleep Podcast Book Club, and it'll pop up with this teal, blue, green banner, and you'll be right there. I would give you the group number, but I don't know how much you like to write stuff down. But if you do, why not? Facebook.com/groups/202-627-327-7610169. You got that? Probably not, because it just said trying to reconnect. Good timing, internet. So yeah. And I'll link to that again in the show notes. So that about does it for ICE episode number 6. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, or critiques, or suggestions, anything like that for the show, feel free to email us at sirenicide@gmail.com or message us on our Facebook, message us in the group, give us a review or a like on iTunes. That does a massive amounts for us to keep us in the ranking. And again, thank you for helping us break wide open 250,000 downloads in a year and a half. We're so stoked that happened for us. Last thing, if you are in the local Houston market and you made it to the end of this, so that'd be about probably 2% of, planet Earth. No, that'd be a lot of people. Probably 2% of, who cares? I'm really bad at math and speaking. We are doing a different type of advertising. Right now, we are working towards adding advertising into our show, possibly in the second half of season 3. And we want to do local comic book shops, local dealerships, local smoke shops, like things like that we can actually have our characters maybe walk in and out of, instead of just doing the old school cheesy, this off of a car or come down and visit this. This is our specials. But we'll find a way to incorporate the advertiser into the story. And then at the end of the episode, we'll give you all the good addresses and websites and how to contact them. So if you're interested in getting your business or your services out to a very extensively growing audience, especially in the Houston market. 50% of our downloads come from this metropolitan area and its greater, rural areas outside of it, as well as the world. If you have something you don't mind shipping, parts, bodies, things like that. We're open to starting some, advertising. We've had some opportunities to advertise with a lot of the bigger normal podcast advertisers, and I'm trying my best to stay away from that. I really don't want to be advertising razors and food service companies if I can, since I got to already hear that 5 or 6 times a week from other people's shows. Not that there's nothing wrong with that. You got to do what you got to do to pay for all this stuff. It's just try not to be one more out there and do something a little different. So if you're looking to advertise on our show, and again, right now it's opened up to the local Houston market and rural areas outside of it. But if you do have a service that's somewhere across the planet, but you'll ship anywhere in the world, hell, why not? We'll find a way to get one of our characters across the pond or into the Siberian wilderness, depending on where you're at. But with that, I think I'm out of crap to talk about. Thank you for joining me on this, again, unscripted, behind-the-scenes look at Sirenicide. Please visit us at Sirenicide.com, and all elements of everything that I've done here are copyrighted by Atrium Dynamics, so don't be an asshole and try to say it's yours and copy it and throw it out there and stuff. If you want to do that, please just let us know, and we'll probably let you do it. So just email us, and we'll give you our consent. It's usually said a lot cooler than that, but I'm just going to go with that, and I will talk to you guys in the next intensive care episode. Thank you so much for joining us, and
stay scarred.